Hey, good morning to those of you on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you, Serena, who are on the East Coast, probably here like me. If you don't know this, by the way, I'm out in the Nav Air Pax River Station location. I got myself right next to the water, so I can go sailing whenever I can, as Russ kind of points out occasionally in the chat. So I'm excited to do that. But it's a great day, and the jets are flying around. The jets are flying around, so that's pretty exciting. We're going to get started today. And for those of you who are here early, I wanted to just give you a quick tip that I was talking about with a friend this morning as we were working on different projects in the GovCon space. But we were talking about this guy, Pat Williams, who wrote a book from this other guy, Coach Wooden. And I'm not going to give you the whole backstory. The book is called Coach Wooden's Greatest Secret, right? But one of the things that came back, and it fits right into what I teach when I do this training, is that we need to do a lot of little things done right is what leads to success. So a lot of little things done right is what leads to success. And that's why you see me constantly going back to the basics. Coach Wooden was a basketball coach, and he used to start the season off by having the team, these professional, many making millions of dollars a year basketball players, stop for a second and understand the value of properly putting their socks on, right before they lace up their shoes, before they practice or go out in a game. You got to make sure your socks are on right. And it seems so silly, but if your sock's not on right, maybe you don't get as much traction. Maybe you get a blister halfway through the game and you can't perform when we really need you to perform. And so he was saying, if we take care of the little things, the big thing, the winning the game will take care of itself. And that's what I try to drive forward in this stuff that I teach. So we're going to get started here. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I am the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, and I'm excited to have you here for my daily federal sales training on LinkedIn Live, where I discuss processes and procedures for you to achieve success in the federal market. I spent 20 years as a small business owner in the federal market, a couple of different businesses, and since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret, it's just a process. When we follow the process correctly, A to Z, we're going to have the success we're looking for. Today, our process is about visibility, right? How to help federal buyers find you. And so that's what we're going to drive in today. We're going to talk about this first step. Visibility is the first step of the 7-step process for federal revenue success. I want you to keep in mind, by the way, tomorrow we're going to cover targeting, and then Thursday is outreach, and Friday is relationship building as we go through the rest of the week. So make sure you're registered to attend those events. But the idea is this week, I'm trying to touch on all related topics. So visibility, targeting, outreach, relationship building, all part of the 7-step process. Before we get too much farther, help me and buyers remember who you are. In the chat, put your company name, put your core competency, 2 or 3 words that let me know who you are. We got a lot of folks here who, I like that early bird gets the worm. That's what I'm going to try to do is give early bird tips from now on. But anyways, help us remember who you are. If you're invisible, and ironically, today is the visibility day. If you're here attending training and then leaving, but we don't know who what your company is, or what your core competencies are, then kind of you're invisible, right? So make yourself visible in the chat by putting your company name and core competency. So today we're going to talk about visibility, right? How to help federal buyers find you. And for me, it all comes down to visibility. The purpose of visibility is to get found by federal buyers and teammates, right? 2 purposes. One is to get found by buyers and teammates. And the second is to look like a procurement-ready business. I want you to look good, right? So we want people to find you, and then we want you to look good. That's really the purpose of visibility. I want to give you a little context for those of you who this might be your first time seeing this training. I want to give you a little context on where visibility fits into the overall process. So you should be able to see now on my screen the 7-step process for federal revenue success, right? This is what we put together in the GovCon Chamber to just simplify the process for success. It shouldn't have to be overly complicated. Each one of these steps feed into each other. And yesterday I did a whole training just on breaking down this 7-step process. So Gus will probably drop something into the chat that you can find the replay on that and watch it to put it in context. But this is the 7-step process. If you'd like a copy of the handout, by the way, just put that in the chat, 7-step, or put VTO handout, please. That's the best way. VTO is visibility, targeting, and outreach. I don't want to go through the 7-step process. That was yesterday's training, but I do just want you to understand that visibility, today's training, is the very first step in the 7-step process. If you don't get visibility correctly, then you will not have the level of success that you hope for with the rest of the process, right? You might have some success, but you will have so much more success, all the success you dream of, if you do each one of these steps correctly and in the order as they move forward, right? And so visibility, look good to the buyers and teammates. Just keep that in mind. Let me go back to my me. Congratulations, you get me again. Okay, so if you want that handout, by the way, let me know. So the last thing I wanted to just mention about visibility, and this goes into this idea of it being the first step in the 7-step process, is there is no shortcut to success, right? There's no silver bullet out there. We think as a silver bullet, it might solve the problem. And that's not going to happen, right? Success takes work. It takes us understanding what the process is, what skills are needed to execute on that process, learning those skills, practicing those skills, getting good at those skills, right? Success in federal government sales is not about talent. None of us who were successful in government contracting were born with a talent for government contracting, right? We learned how to do government contracting. We got better at government contracting. We continue to get better. I continue to get better at government contracting. Somebody just put out the CBP, a friend of mine on, who was it? Jen yesterday sent me a copy of the Custom and Border Protection's slides for how to do business with them. I'm an expert. I still paused for a second and went and read every one of the slides to see, are you providing tips that maybe I hadn't thought of? Are you changing the process that you like to see? Whatever it was, when I looked in, it was good to see that I was aligned completely with them. But more importantly, even at my level, I still go in and I still keep reminding myself that I don't always know everything. I got to keep my skills being sharpened. And so I want you to remember that there is no success. But there is no success. There's no shortcut to success. But when you do the right things, there is success, right? And so if you understand what I'm talking about, that success just requires work, just requires you following a process, then go ahead and put no silver bullet in the chat. Let me know that this is making sense when I'm talking about that visibility is the beginning of a 7-step process for success. Okay, while you're doing that, and definitely for a lot of my friends who keep coming to this training a lot, yes, I'm trying to get better and better at staying hydrated because talking a lot takes some stuff out. Okay, so we talk about what's the purpose of visibility, right? It's to get found and to look good when you get found. Well, who's looking at you? Let's talk about that for a second. There's 3 types of people that are looking at you. Teammates, buyers, and market researchers. So let's talk about those for a second. And thanks for putting that in the chat so I can see that you're getting it. No silver bullet. So the first group of people looking for you, in no particular order, are teammates. These are people looking to add you to their team. I was having a conversation with a customer yesterday that was talking about how they and a large prime were, they were sitting around the table, a bunch of them working on an opportunity, and they were doing a SWOT analysis, looking at their strengths and weaknesses in particular. And one area of weakness was RMF, risk management framework. And as a team, they're like, okay, we need to shore that weakness up. Who do we know? So first they started with the people at the table. Do you know any small businesses that do that, et cetera? So this happens all the time. Large businesses or small businesses are looking for teammates like you that could come bring your expertise into their team so they can win the opportunity, right? So that's one type of person looking for you. That's why you want to be visible, so they can find you. Another group of people looking for you are buyers. And in this particular case, I'm talking about the focus of dissatisfaction, the actual program office, right? These people are looking for subject matter experts and trusted advisors. In federal government contracting officers have power, right? They're the ones who sign the contract award, but they're not the buyer. They're kind of like me with my kids, right? My kids are the buyers of toys. I'm just the focus of power. I'm just the one with a credit card making the purchase, and I'm the one who can commit spending money on behalf of my kids, right? But they're not the ones signing that check, but they are the ones who need it. I don't care what toy there is. And in this case, not to make program offices children, but the program offices are the ones who are the actual buyers. They're the ones with the need, the goals, the requirements, et cetera, that you're going to fill. And so when they come out and they're looking for somebody like you, they're looking for subject matter experts. You're experts at elevator services or agile software development, knowledge management or records management. They're looking for trusted advisors. Hey, we're thinking about going on this journey with data, managing all the data that's in our agency. Can you come in and just talk to us about this? I was telling somebody yesterday that having a roadmap is a great way to communicate to the customer that, look, customer, we recommend if you want to do data, do this, 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 and this. We can help you with all of it, but we'd recommend we start with this little first step. And that's a trusted advisor. You're giving them the vision of how they can get from where they're at to where they're going. And so buyers are looking for you. You want to be visible when those buyers are looking for you. That's requirement shaping, basically, is what's happening there. You're helping them with the requirement understanding. And then the last group are market researchers. This is where you have small business specialists, you have contracting officers, contract specialists, whoever they are. Their role is more acquisition based. They're trying to shape the acquisition strategy, and they're looking for you. They're looking to see if there are women-owned small businesses or veteran-owned small businesses that they can work with. They're looking to see if there's anybody in the industry who can even do such and such work. And so you want to be visible to these people as well. So one thing I want you to do is in the chat, I want you to take one of those three and tell me which one of those three, teammates, buyers, or market researchers, do you wish were calling you today? And only one. And let me try to give you a little guidance as you're picking it, right? Teammates, you want to get added to a team. So somebody else is priming it and you can bring your subject matter expertise. Maybe you want to add a few more items or opportunities to your pipeline without you having to be the prime. Maybe that's why you're looking for teammates. You're looking for buyers because maybe you got a lot of good stories you want to tell about where you should go with data or elevator services, et cetera. And so you want to reach the buyers to shape the future requirements. No urgency, right? Future requirements. And market researchers, maybe because you're an 8A Stars 3 and you want to be found for cyber. Which ones of those, try just one. I know all of us want all three, but if you picked which one do you want that would most help you with today or this week or this month's goals, no longer than a month, which one of those three would be helpful to you? You go ahead and do that, and I'm going to drink a little bit more water. It's funny, if I picked one, it would probably be teammates. As I'm seeing a lot of you say teammates, but it's right when I said that too. Then I see Michael say buyers, no doubt. Good, this is perfect. So keep it in mind, because when you do anything, you want to make sure you're understanding what your own goals are of what you're trying to do. So if you're trying to be visible, who are you trying to be visible to? Let's talk about the 6 marketing assets, right? We talked about the value and the purpose of being visible. We talked about who's looking for you. Now, how can they find you, right? What are they going to see when they come out? There's 6 marketing assets that I talk about. And we have a whole training on that. Gus, you might drop it in there to reference it for people. But because I'm going to go over this briefly, but there's 6 marketing assets, and I'm going to give you them in the order that I think of how important they are. And you'll notice website's really low, not really high. So let's talk about the 6 marketing assets. This is what people are going to see. The first one is your small business profile. Extra credit for anybody who knew I was going to say that. Your small business profile is made up of your SAM and DSBS data combined. It makes your small business profile. That is the #1 market research tool used by the federal government. You want to make sure that marketing asset screams what you sell in an easy way for market researchers and buyers to understand. You can look at my free training out there that describes how do you target both of those audiences. So that's #1, small business profile. The next one is your capability statement. Your capability statement's only purpose is to get a meeting. Right? One of the things to keep in mind as you go forward is every marketing asset really should be targeted towards one purpose. What is its purpose? The capability statement is not to inform, in my opinion. It's only to get a meeting. When you get a meeting, then you inform. right? And then I'll talk about another marketing asset in a second. So the second one is your capability statement. So small business profile, capability statement. Third one is your LinkedIn profile. So you reach out to somebody, you're trying to do some outreach and they agree to meet with you, or they got your voicemail and they're like, who's this Neil guy? LinkedIn profile, to me, the purpose of it is to verify you are who you say you are. And I don't just mean Neil is Neil, but Neil's calling about government contracting stuff. Well, I look on there and I can see he says, hey, we help government contractors. Or I can see he's got the small business specialist directory in there. I can see what he has on his profile is speaking government contracting. If you're in SharePoint, your profile should scream SharePoint, right? When I look at it, I see SharePoint. And so your LinkedIn profile is your third one. Small business profile, capability deck, LinkedIn profile. The next one is a capability deck. You got your meeting, you're going to go in, and this is the part that I say you use this in a meeting to tell your story. Capability statement doesn't need to tell your story. Once you get into a meeting, you and your capability deck, just 5, 6, 7 slides is more than enough that tell the story about who your company is, what you do, and maybe who you've helped, right? Depending on how big your company is and how much experience. But your capability deck is your next marketing asset. Your fifth one is your website. So the website provides SME content. It's a great place for blogs and other content you're putting out there to show your expertise. And it also validates your services. So I can come in and look and go, oh, this is who this company is. I was on somebody's site yesterday, and it was beautiful how easy it was for me to see what they did. And the thing I liked best was what they did. They had, like, let's say 5 services, but all 5 services, because I'm in IT, I know this, they were all related to each other. So they called them out as if they were a core competency, but all 5 together made up, let's call it a packaged core competency. So if you did data as an example, data analytics would be a major sub bullet under just the word data. All right, so website validates your services. And the last one of the 6 is your LinkedIn company page. It's similar to a website, but it also is a place to grow and inform company fans, right? As you go out and get followers, as people in your company are getting followers, you want them to be followers of your company. It's what we try to do, right? Get people following the GovCon Chamber page. So there's 6, I guess I need another hand, 6 of them. The small business profile, capability statement, your LinkedIn profile, your capability deck, your website, and your LinkedIn company page. If you understand and if you agree that marketing is vital to your success, these 6 assets are vital to your success in the federal market, then go ahead and put #marketing in the chat. That's all one word, #MARKETING. Do that so I can drink water. And as you're doing that, I want to move into the last main tip I have for you today. And this is related to a 15-minute check on visibility. What I want you to do is to walk away today and go, how visible am I? Right? And in 15 minutes, I get that you're busy and I get that you have other meetings today. But if you took 15 minutes today, you could move your visibility ahead of the 80% of your competitors, because these are the mistakes that 80% of the competitors make out there. First check is in your small business profile. And I'll talk about the how in a second. I want you to go in and do a DSBS invisibility check. And what I mean is, I want you to go to dsbs.sba.gov. And by the way, I have a handout or checklist that I have this in, so you can kind of write it down, but I'll give it to you in a minute. But I want you to go to dsbs.sba.gov and search for your company. And the first thing you want to see is, and by the way, don't search for your company by your company name. Search for your company by your core competency. So we have on the group, I can see Bayan Groups in here. They do SharePoint, right? And there's a couple of other people who do SharePoint as well. Go in and type SharePoint. Do you show up? Say you do SharePoint migration. Type in SharePoint migration. Do you show up? Check that really quick. And then when you come up, click on your profile and go in. Inside of your profile, and I have a whole training about this, right? So I'm going pretty fast right now. But in your profile, you have 3 fields that are called, they're keyword indexed, meaning all 3 of these fields, every word is indexed so that when some buyer searches for what you sell, they look into the index. And if your company is in that, it serves it up. So if you're a cyber company and you've got cyber in your profile, somebody searches for cyber, it'll show you as one of the results. Inside of those fields, they total 2,525 characters, right? So think about almost a 3/4 of a page of content that talks about your company, uses keywords, etc. All I want you to do, I don't even care about the quality yet of the writing. Go in and go, are we using all 3 fields? And I tell you how to do this in my little checklist, but what I want you to do is copy the text out of each one of these 3 fields and put them into a spreadsheet really quick and use a formula that'll tell you the count, or you can put it in Microsoft Word or whatever. It'll give you quickly the character count. If you haven't done this before, don't worry about it. I got a little checklist that'll tell you the steps. But do this. When you pull it back, you will decide whether you're invisible. There's 2,500 characters, right? 525 characters. If you are using below a certain level, I say you're virtually invisible, right? And my threshold is pretty low. I'm like, if you have 250 or less characters, you're invisible. And then you're mostly invisible if you got more and more. So anyways, do this DSBS invisibility check. Again, I'm talking almost longer than it takes. The second thing I want you to do is a website failure check on your small business profile. This is very quick step. You go into your DSBS profile, just like your buyer would. And inside of there, your company has put the website. Click on that website and see if it opens your website. 75% of the URLs that are in DSBS do not work, right? They just error out. Buyers know this. In fact, I told you about the custom and border protections slides that came out about how to do business with us. That was actually something they were saying as well. And that means what I've been saying has been getting out to the government buyers as well. But if they're used to this failure, they'll move on to the buyer. To another seller. There's 100 companies, 1,000 companies that sell what you sell. If it's difficult to find and research your company, that's called friction. You're creating friction between you and your buyer. You want to eliminate the friction. And so one way is to make sure you're visible with the right keywords. The second way is to make sure when buyers click on your website link, it actually goes to your website and doesn't error out. Does that make sense? The third step is property check. So in your capability statement, all of us generally are familiar with a capability statement. I'm not talking about that at the moment. I have a whole training on that as well. But here's the one tip that I really want you to pay attention to. I spent a good portion of my career in enterprise search and records management. In enterprise search, basically what it means is if you give me your capability statement and I put it on my hard drive, or if I put it on the network drive for the entire agency to get access to, now everybody has access to it. But there are thousands of capability statements in there, right? Those of you who are going to Navy Gold Coaster, most of those small business specialists are probably going to get 500 plus capability statements and dump them somewhere. What you need is for your capability statement to have properties, and these properties are called metadata. If you go into Adobe Acrobat, look at your PDF and go to the file menu. I don't know what it's like on the Mac, but go to the file menu and go to properties. When you click properties, there's basic properties. You'll recognize them the minute you see them. Make sure they're filled out. One of them I think is called keywords. Another is called title or subject. 99% of you, it's blank. And here's the reason you want to do this. When somebody is searching for 2 companies that are doing elevator services and they're looking at capability statements, whoever says elevator services in their properties, not in the visual capability statement, but whoever does it in the properties, it will serve up first in the results. You want to be at the top of the results in Google, right? Well, put yourself in the top of the search results for the Air Force, or in Boeing, when Boeing is looking in their supplier portal. You want to rise higher, and this is called metadata and properties. That's the tip I'm giving you. That's in a checklist as well, the steps, how to do that. The last one is another one with the capability statement, another 15-minute check, is go into LinkedIn. Is your capability statement on LinkedIn in your experience section? If you're, of course, you're here on LinkedIn, right? Unless you're watching the replay on YouTube. But, my audience basically LinkedIn. And in LinkedIn, if you go down in your profile to the experience, in a couple of seconds, you can add your capability statement in there. That does 2 things. One is if people are searching, they find you. The other is if somebody looks at you and remember I said they're validating you, who you are, et cetera. If they come down to your experience section and in particular, like a market researcher or buyer, and they can click on your capability statement. They can view it. They can see your UEI, your NAICS code. They can see your core competencies, all that kind of stuff. They can also download your capability statement, right? So get your capability statement in LinkedIn and on your website. I keep going to people's websites and I can't find your capability statement. It just needs to be a PDF right on your homepage. Click here to download capability statement. If you're trying to do millions of dollars in business with the federal government and you have a capability statement already, then let's get that capability statement in front of hundreds of thousands of buyers potentially so that you can make millions and billions and trillions of dollars, or $50, whatever is in your luck. Hopefully that made sense what I'm saying. If you want a copy of these 15-minute checklist items and you want that handout, just put 15-minute checklist, please. Add that please at the end, unless you have already done this. Put that in the chat. I'll send it over to you as soon as we finish that up. So hopefully that made sense. I can see I'm getting down the wire, and fortunately I covered most of what I was trying to drive to. I want to remind you, in this training, we talked about visibility, right? And its role in your success in the federal market. Remember this one thing from today's training. If you're invisible, no one can find you. If you're invisible, no one can find you. Pretty straightforward, right? If you found today's training and of value, if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. I always appreciate that. The team appreciates that. And I want to thank you a lot for being here today. It makes it an excellent training for me and the team behind me who put this on. So thank you very, very much for being here. And remember, government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. I'll see you in the next training.